totally got nervous just now.
Really? We're not on there yet.
What?
There
we go.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your host, Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wacky Works Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts. Welcome everybody to episode 27 with Creative Makers Podcast. I'm Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, and today we have Bruce with Brudaddy on the show. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
There he is. Man of the hour.
Bruce, how you doing today, Bruce?
Hey, doing great. How's it going?
Awesome. Doing good. Except for, like Jamie, he's having a misfortune, but we're talking about. But anyhow, we usually start the show off and just ask you if you give us a little background on how you got started and doing what you do.
Yeah, I grew up with a dad that was pretty handy in a lot of stuff. I wouldn't say he was very heavy in woodworking necessarily, but kind of just everything. In high school, on nights and weekends, he and I enclosed a 2-car carport into a finished room, and it was a little challenging. Looking back, I'm glad I did it because we did everything from concrete work to laying some bricks, to building the framing stuff all the way up to finish work. But his house was built in 1962, I think. So 2x4s were actually 2x4s, and then we were using modern materials that weren't that and trying to make them meet up. It was challenging at times. But that's where I learned a lot of that kind of stuff. I was a trim carpenter back in 2003 for about a year and a half with a friend of mine that had a business. So I did a lot of like cabinetry, laying, base molding, trim. I'm almost 6'4", so laying base molding is not fun because that up and down is a long way down.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah. So, and then I was in banking for a long time. I have a business administration degree, so I was in banking and finance type of stuff for a long time and really did not like that. I kind of fell into it. I was on the marketing side of it, so I was writing copy for websites. And let me tell you, it is tough to make really fun-sounding copy about banking, about debit transactions and whatever. But I've done just about everything. And then in 2015, I started recording I think it was 2015, started really getting into woodworking and dabbling in that. I did a lot of photography also, which kind of paired well with me starting a YouTube channel and building projects and putting those out there. But I didn't end up starting. I think I recorded most of 2016. I didn't even edit and put out a video until January of 2017. So I don't know what I was waiting on, but anyway, I've been doing that for quite a while now. I do a lot of things relating to woodworking and just kind of making things and content around that. So I have a podcast called We Built a Thing, and I make YouTube videos. I've started another channel about us, my wife and I building a house coming up called Dirt to Done. And, I've never met something that I didn't want to get involved in, I guess.
All right. All right, Bruce. And everybody at home, my name is Jake Thompson from Northside Custom Crafts, and I usually do an icebreaker. And my icebreaker for you, Bruce, is if you could be any other Bruce, would you be Bruce Banner, Bruce Lee, Bruce Willis, or Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, let's go Bruce Lee. I mean, nobody dislikes Bruce Lee, right?
There you go. Bruce Lee.
Good job.
Bruce Lee. Oh, yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Keep up, Jamie.
It's the water.
Backstory on that real quick. We all get together, and when we have someone else we want on the show, Matt just says, Bruce is in. We all go, who the heck is who? Bruce who? Bruce Lee. So we all started putting Bruce Lee, Bruce Banner, Bruce Wayne in there. So there you go. That was just a jab at Matt there.
Well, what's funny is Bruce is not a very common name at all. I've only met in real life maybe a handful, in my entire life. But there are quite a few famous Bruces like you just named off. And other than that, it's a pretty obscure name.
So your chances are pretty good.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jen with Jen's Turn. Thanks for joining us, Bruce. So
Yeah.
before the show started, we just started talking about lasers. And one of my questions for you is about your laser. I saw you did a post, and the laser lens was horribly dirty. So my question is, how long was it that dirty? Were you having to fight the wood to actually cut through? Did you know that it was dirty and just kept putting it off? What made you finally stop and clean it?
Did you see it was that dirty?
On your post on Instagram, I saw it was dirty.
I'm trying to remember. Is that the one where it was? I had that freak accident and it was missing the mirror.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it had been that dirty. I had been up in the cabinet, like scrubbing around. I had taken off the side part of it, so I think I may have introduced some of that onto the mirror at that point, just by stirring up crap in the cabinet. That's not normally disturbed because it is in my woodworking shop. I still don't know what happened there because it was the first mirror right off of the tube that something happened to it. I don't know. I didn't bump it. I called Laguna. It's a Laguna laser, and they didn't really the guy was joking, but he was basically saying, well, is your house haunted? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. That's not quite the support I was looking for, but
valuable technical support.
Right. But I mean, other than them just saying, I don't know, I've never had this happen before. I seem to be pretty good at doing that to tools, but there's nothing they could have done, but I just wanted to know why it happened. But no, I don't normally let mirrors get crazy dirty. After talking to them, I needed to use the thing. So I was like, well, I guess I'm realigning mirrors, which I had not had to do in about a year and a half since I set it up. It had always stayed aligned. And unless you bump it, it really should stay aligned. It was even previous to that shooting through the nozzle just fine, directly through the center. I still don't know what happened. Basically, the first mirror shifted somehow, and it was totally missing the second mirror, the one that's on the gantry, so badly that it was shooting into the housing, and it basically made this little dimple on the outside of the housing because I was shooting the steel over and over because I didn't know it at the time. I just had the lid shut and was like, well, let me run another pass. Sometimes you can do that if it doesn't cut all the way through before you move your material. And but it was off enough that using the brass thumb screws, to adjust your mirrors, I could not get it back onto that second mirror just using those. So it had to have been some other. My particular laser, and I think a lot of them are similar, maybe even the Omtex, because they probably all come out of the same place. But that mirror is basically sitting on a post in the housing. And it has two kind of set screws that has to be kind of where it needs to be, and those set, and then you go about adjusting those things. Well, I had to actually loosen those and adjust the mirror to the right to even be able to get close with the thumb screws. So I'm blown away. I don't know how that happened or why it happened, and I have not been able to get any answers.
Wow.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt with Wacky Works. Bruce, I started following you when you did some flattening. You get that router sled and did a pretty big slab that you did. Do you still keep that? Are you still using it? I saw you did some flattening the other day too.
Yeah, I actually used that one from Brent Jarvis at Clean Cut Woodworking. That one was one of the prototype ones. I don't think he had fully settled on the parts he's using now, and he had not really ramped up selling those things. This was, goodness, I've been here a little over 2 years. This was probably 4+ years ago. He and I kind of struck up a friendship because he was in New Orleans and I was in Jackson, Mississippi, so we were only about 3 hours apart. And he came up one time and was like, hey, I'm starting to do this and that. You want to, show it off, use it, tell me your feedback, whatever. I was like, yeah, it sounds great. And it's a really cool concept. I think he makes one of the best ones out there. But my shop here in Kentucky, since we moved here, is a little on the small side. Well, I keep buying bigger tools. Like I bought a giant 150 watt laser, and then I upgraded the CNC to be bigger, and then I bought a saw stop that was bigger, and I just keep doing that. But that thing is kind of just set in the corner, because if it's under 4 feet, I can flatten it on my Onefinity now. So that thing stays set up. I don't have to like clear my workbench and set that up and flatten it. And I don't deal just a ton with slabs, so I don't get it out that often. But yeah, my buddy James was needing some help. He was making a slab countertop, and I was like, well, I have this router sled that is still perfectly good. I can bring the router and a flattening bit, and we'll go at it. It was a little challenging because his pieces were, I think, 101 inches long, and my router sled is only like 60. I don't have just super long ones. But I don't know if you remember, Matt, Brent actually helped me custom build an 18-foot sled around a giant slab that I did for the Department of Agriculture in Mississippi. It was a 49-inch wide by 18-foot long slab.
Yep.
And there was no way I could work on that in my shop. So I talked to the customer when we were agreeing to do it. I was like, do you have a facility just here? I can build it, basically in place and go about it. And they were like, yeah, we can. That was miserable in late June in Mississippi. Wow.
No humidity. No.
You were in that garage. I remember seeing that, right? Just kind of like a garage type deal they had you in doing that?
Yeah, well, it was just one of their outbuildings at the Department of Ag that they didn't really use anymore. It was kind of just storing other stuff, and it was not even that flat. The ground that it was on, Brent and I had to do a lot to basically build a platform out. We went and bought 3 sheets of MDF and kind of ripped it down with some track saws and this and that, and leveled it, and then we plopped this big slab on top of it. And it was just ridiculous. I think we were only using maybe a 2-inch bit. It just took forever. His sled worked fine. It's just the matter of dealing with a slab that's that big and heavy.
Yeah. Watching that one's what I bought mine from that as well. So
yeah. Well, what size do you have?
8 foot. It's a 4x8.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't think. I think my cross piece that the router sits on is only, I don't know, maybe 2 feet. So it was one of his earlier models, and if I did more with that, I'd probably upgrade it, because I think it's legit. In fact, some of the bigger ones, you probably have wider rails, like the linear rail that they run on. Mine's probably not quite as big as yours because it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jamie from JP Woodwork, and hello, Bruce.
Hello.
So I was watching some of your videos today, and you seem really, really comfortable behind the camera. Is that something you've always been good at, or is it something that you had to work at?
No, I definitely had to work at it. I think I still have to work at it. I feel, I don't know if it's just like maybe depending on that day or whatever, but I'll turn on the camera and do a take, and I'm like, well, you got to straighten up. It's time to kick it into gear. But I have learned that I'm not an overly expressive person, but when you're just that type of normal person on camera, it comes across as like dragging and you have no energy and this and that. Like, I have to actually be more energetic than I probably am in real life, or it would just come across flat. I have learned that.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely doing a good job anyway.
Well, thanks.
So for everybody out there, I'm always curious. You had to move your workshop. Explain to us how difficult that is, just trying to get all the tools. And I know you were making decisions, probably trying to get rid of certain things. How difficult was that to, on top of your entire house and your family, to package all that up and get it transferred to the new place?
Yeah, it was tough. I did use it as an opportunity to get rid of some tools that I wanted to upgrade, because when you start factoring in the cost of like pods or something like that to move large things like that, you don't really pay by the weight, but you pay by the volume, and those tools take up a ton of room. So I had a rigid table saw that was a full cabinet saw, but I used that as an opportunity to upgrade. So I just sold it and was like, nope, I'll buy something else when I get there. I had a 14-inch bandsaw that I made the decision, a neighbor wanted it, and I was like, well, I've been wanting a 17-inch bandsaw anyway, so I'll just buy another one later, and did that. And then I didn't have that laser at the time. I just had a Glowforge, so it just kind of packed in a box, you know, that could sit in the I had like iMacs and TVs and the glow forwards riding in the cab of the truck with me when we drove up. But yeah, they're difficult to do it. In fact, I pretty much ruined my CNC table. I just built that CNC table, and I have those plans for free on my website. It's kind of just like a way to get people's email addresses, and I've never even sent out an email. But it gets downloaded every day, and it's just a basic 2x4 and MDF type assembly table, you know, and it's fine the way I have it, and it's fine for the CNC, but we use that as like the bottom layer in one of the pods, and we were loading it up with I had like a bunch of pieces. I used to make just an absolute ton of cutting boards, so I had a lot of cutting board blanks that were already glued up, and then I had a lot of pieces, and we stacked all that on there. I bet I stacked a couple 1,000 pounds of wood and stuff on it, and it created a little sag in the middle that I then later had to kind of brace and get flat. But other than that, I haven't had issues. I'm trying to think of anything else with the move. The biggest frustration to me getting here was I went from a shop that was, well, I had a half bay that I could keep like a zero turn lawnmower and a bunch of other hand tools like hung up out of the way, not even to be in the main shop. And then in the main shop, I think it was like 28 wide, maybe 27 by about 25 deep. So pretty decent size 2-car.
Yeah.
And I had all that. And then I moved here, and it was 21 by 21. And we bought this house kind of sight unseen. I mean, our realtor was on FaceTime, and we were like walking around seeing it, but it was a really good deal. We needed to close on it quickly, so we went ahead and grabbed it. But the garage was smaller than I thought. So the frustrating part was when I got here, you know, I had planned on doing all these upgrades, and then I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm so frustrated because if I do these upgrades, which I have, I'm probably on like the 5th or 6th iteration of this shop, just trying to rearrange things to be in a workable fashion, you know, because in 21 by 21, I have that big table saw. I've got 2 big tables. Like I built the J. Bates workbench. I've got the 4-foot Onefinity. I've got that 150 watt laser that has like a 61-inch bed on it. I mean, it's massive. I've got a big 3-horse Laguna dust collector. I have a lathe. You know, I have the Drew Fisher flip top cart with a couple things on it. I've now got a 20-inch planer. I've got a Bailey joiner that I'm waiting to restore. It's a 12-inch one just sitting over there, taking up room. And I traded somebody a couple tools for that. And then I've got a drill press and a drum sander and that big 17-inch bandsaw. So it's like, I don't really know how I do anything in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been my biggest frustration is when I would want to try to rearrange stuff. Right when we moved here, I would just literally move everything out in the driveway. And I would go in there and kind of look around and be like, okay, let's try this tool here and this one here and this one here and just see if it worked. And it took me probably 5 or 6 times to even get to where I liked it.
Wow.
Nice.
That's got to be tough going from, you know, downsizing like that, especially with big tools, you know, big footprint tools. That's
You
Yeah.
get more.
got to be tough.
Yeah. And then I bought a lot more.
Yeah. I think we all have that problem, Bruce.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback off of Jamie's comment that you do good videos and you do good. The storytelling part of it's real good. I noticed.
Well, thanks.
So I wanted to know, you're welcome. I wanted to know, do you script them when you're doing your voiceovers and the storytelling part of it, or are you just that good?
Sometimes I do script them. It kind of depends. I have not had just what I would consider a fantastic success at YouTube. I've seen a lot of other people that started around the same time I did. Drew Fisher did Fisher Shop, and you know, he's got like 350,000 subscribers now, and I can't hit 20. And don't get me wrong, I don't know 20,000 people, so that's a lot of people. Okay, but it's not to the same level, I guess I would say, of success, at least in my mind. So I'm constantly trying new things is my point. So sometimes I'm scripting them to see how that comes out. Sometimes I'm kind of ad-libbing and just rolling with it, kind of like Bourbon Moth does. I'm not as funny as him. And
He's
then
pretty funny.
and then you know, sometimes I'm trying different things, like doing more of the being on camera, wearing a mic, saying, hey, here's what I'm about to do, and then doing it kind of like Jay Bates, I guess, does, and not doing as much voiceover work and this and that. So I'm skipping all around trying to just find different things that work for me. But I don't know if that quite answers what you were asking.
Nah, it's I think we're all in the same boat.
YouTube
As,
stuff.
You see other people and they go, either it's their personality or they just hit a few went viral or something like that as far as subscribers go. But I think it's like some people have a natural ability to tell a story, and just by watching the videos I watched today, because it's a big old internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you don't really have not seen anybody before, but the thing that I noticed was that you're a good storyteller and it comes across on camera.
Well, thanks. Yeah. That's something I really prioritize. I like telling a story, not just showing a project or whatever. I just like kind of that full circle of here's where we started, here are the thing, and I'm going to show you where I messed up and come back to something that you can learn from, but also tells a good story. It's just always been a priority of mine to try to, weave that in there. And like you said, it's a big internet. Back in 2017, everybody that watched YouTube, you basically would go to your subscriptions page and click on one of those. People didn't often watch. They didn't just log into a home page. If you subscribe, that's where it dropped you when you logged into YouTube. And those are so you were only competing against maybe like 50 other channels or whatever, if that. Well, now on the homepage, your thumbnail has to be like one of 6 or one of 9, maybe, for the whole internet. And it's not just in your little niche. So it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Picking up on the teaching people things and telling the story, I noticed that you signed on with TMCU. You want to tell people a little bit about that and what you're doing and how it works?
Yeah, I've known Christy from Oko Millworks, and I just totally went blank. Stated Woods. Nick.
Jared, right?
Nick.
Yeah,
Nick. Yeah. I just went blank.
It's okay.
Yeah, I've known them for years and years, and we've been kind of online buddies for a long time. But when they approached me about it, I was kind of like, okay, I'm interested. I've never really taken part of the challenges that much. I've just always had enough other things going with. I don't get a lot of brand deals, but with a few brand deals here and there, and with just making the videos I want to make, that it just never. I won't say never. A lot of times those challenges just wouldn't fit in with kind of my video schedule or what I was doing. But I know they've been cranking along doing that kind of thing and have built a big community around it. And that's what they want it to be. So they started the Maker Collab University. It's cool because Christy even said it this way when she pitched it to me. She was like, kind of like you were saying, Jake, it's a big internet. Like you can go find the information you want to. It's out there. Like a lot of the fine woodworking stuff I've learned is from YouTube. I learned it from Matt Cremona or from Bob Claggett or all these people that I used to watch. Jay Bates. I've seen a ton of his stuff. Because I didn't know the fine woodworking stuff. My dad was more like a handyman, but they want it to be a hub of where you can go to this one place and really find a lot of valuable information and connect with other people and get direct feedback. So they have forums and stuff that sometimes I'll pop in there and other people will, and they'll just answer questions or ask questions or pose things, out there for people to say something to. And it's been pretty cool so far, the feedback. I've done 2 videos for them. They approached me, doing some videos around craft fairs. I'm not a craft fair expert, and I kind of told Christy that. I'm like, I haven't done a ton of craft fairs, and I don't even know if I'm totally pro craft fair. She's like, it doesn't matter. You have a perspective. You can tell what you've done and what you've seen. And I was like, yeah, you got a point. So I did 2 of those for them, and so far it's been pretty cool. They have quite a variety of different instructors, what they're calling them, so far on the site, and they're continually bringing more out and getting brands on board.
Very nice. It sounds interesting. So.
Yeah, you can. I think it's $15 a month is what they're charging. But it's cool because if you want to just hop on there, you can get a free account to just like browse the forums here and there. Like they have some spots you can access. They do some live events, like live Q&As with some of their instructors and with some of the brands. They do giveaways and stuff. And if you want to just test it, you can actually just like purchase for a few dollars one of those events. and then maybe you'll want to join after that. So I think it's kind of a cool model.
Nice.
So, Bruce, tell me about your CNC. I think me and you kind of have the same CNC, but tell me about your CNC and the software you use and any kind of complications or benefits that you've had from it.
Yeah, I have the Onefinity Journeyman X50 now. I started with the Woodworker, which was 26 inches wide, 28 inches. Can't remember. It was 28 by 28, I think. And so now the X-Rail is 48 wide. Just full disclosure, I do work with that company, with Onefinity. They sponsor our podcast, and I've done some stuff with them, but they've been really great to work with. And I actually bought that machine before I even worked with them. I bought it about 3+ years ago now, and I don't use it as much as I would like to. I would like to have a product or a set of products that sold really well that I had reason to use that for. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always looking to try to monetize it in a better way because I feel like it just sits there a lot of times, and I'm looking for ways to use it. I use it from anything like flattening. I'll put a flattening bit in there and do that. It does a great job. I cut out a teardrop serving board that was a custom order I just had for a customer, that kind of thing pretty often. I've not done anything 3D. I don't have any software that can do the 3D stuff right now. Again, I find it hard to pay $600 or whatever for VCarve Pro because I haven't monetized it enough. I don't feel like I can throw $600 at software for that machine to just sit there. We've been using Easel Pro, which is I think $250 a year, something like that. A little high in my opinion, but I don't love it. I don't think it's great software. I usually just do the tool pass and stuff there and then download G-code and put that into the machine so it reads it. I've recently started experimenting with the free Carbide Create, which is the company that makes the Shapeoko, just to see if I like it. I think I like the capabilities it has. I wonder what their pro version would be. But there are a couple things that I like a lot more. Like when you finish a job on easel, for whatever reason, it retracts the bit up out of the material and then wants to travel all the way over to the origin. And I have run into a clamp here or there because I didn't set the safety origin up to like 2 inches or something. You know what I mean? Because if you do that, you waste time on every job. But the Carbide Create, when it's done, it just retracts the bit out of the material and stops. So I can go over and turn off the router and not worry about, oh, shoot, where's the origin? It's, because it makes a straight path over there. And sometimes that can get you into trouble. I don't know if you've had any kind of issues like that.
I could see how that could mess you up.
Yeah.
But I do the same thing so far with Carbide Create. I just, set the tool pass however I want and then download the G-code. And I actually just use it on a USB stick. It's so easy. I just throw it in the machine and load it. I don't know how you do, maybe differently.
I know on my Avid, it's totally different than what y'all have, but it just raises and it goes back to the origin, but it raises high enough. And I mean, I usually don't use a whole lot of clamps on my hold down when I'm doing it. Usually I leave enough material just to screw it down to the bed. That's how I do it, but I can see where that would be an issue right there. If on top of everything you're having to do, if you forget about that, that makes a beeline over there. And
just your clamping where you need to clamp it at is going to be, you have to keep that into consideration every time. I think it'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. Sometimes I've even set the 0 really high and run it and just let it run in the air without the router on to see, okay, I'm going to miss my clamps, and then I'll stop it and I'll get the touch probe out and touch it off of the surface and then let it go for sure.
Yeah.
It feels a little silly to have to do that, but whatever.
It's always best to do that than ruin something, because those bits and things, they're not cheap.
No, they're not.
They fly far too.
Yeah.
We have a question from the chat real quick. Quim Design would like to know if you see yourself going down the 3D printing road at all in the future.
A few years ago, if you'd asked me if I was using any plotting machines, I would have told you no. I didn't do any of that. I kind of jumped on the Glowforge wait list just way ahead. Like lasers were not in everybody's shop back when I did this. This was probably, I think I got it in 2016. So, you know, that a lot's changed in 5 years, but now I have that and a CNC router. And boy, I've been eyeballing some of the 3D printers. I was just talking to a couple people yesterday. It was y'all the other night about the Bamboo Lab stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
It's
They're all right.
nuts, and I could really see using some of that. Like I would really like making shop jigs and stuff, you know, to use around the shop. I see that being really useful. So I don't know. I'm open to it. We'll see.
That's where I think they shine a lot. If you're setting up your shop or you come up with an idea that you need some sort of just to store your tools, your whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can jump in there and design something fairly quick and print it out, and you have it. And if it's good enough, then you put it out on the market, sell
Right.
it. You know,
Yeah, if you like it enough, maybe somebody else will.
right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah. So I'm going to quickly jump way back a little bit, back to Jake's
can't
question
jump.
and piggyback. Oh, no, I can't.
You better
Go
do
right
a
back
brisk,
and
brisk
piggyback
walk.
off brisk walk. Right back to Jake's question. So I'm curious to know what kind of setup you use for your YouTube channel with regards to cameras right up to the editing suite. So
Yeah.
would you be able to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Coming from the photography side, I've been a Canon guy for a long time, probably back to 2010 or so. It was still photography for a while. I shot a few weddings, and boy, I learned pretty quick. I didn't want to do that. That's having the bride breathing down your neck, and it's, you know, you shoot just an ungodly amount of photos, so you end up spending almost a week just editing their photos, and it's bonkers. And as fast as I got, which seems kind of like the norm, it got to where it was like 1 to 3. So for every photo I shot, it was like 3 minutes of editing, that type of thing. So it adds up quick to time. But anyway, so I had a lot of that equipment that I was acquiring. I did a lot of more like portrait stuff. And then I got into real estate photography at the time in Jackson. There weren't a bunch of big companies that were doing really good photos. It was some realtors that like weren't putting toilet seats down and, you know, just doing dumb stuff like that. But I had this 16 millimeter really wide angle lens, as wide as you can get before it starts fisheyeing. And, you know, I was only charging $100 or something, but I could do it on my lunch breaks from the bank. I would take my camera and I'd zip over there and I'd shoot a bunch of photos and I would give them next day turnaround. And that went really well. I mean, I made thousands of dollars shooting houses. So it kind of just continued from there. I had some of that equipment, and I've stuck with it. I since about 3 years ago, I purchased one of the Canon mirrorless ones. I really would like to go to one of the manufacturers that makes video cameras, because all still cameras, even if you use them to shoot video, they have a cutoff at 26 minutes. I don't know why it is. Like if you're shooting a time lapse, it just stops.
Yeah.
And so I still run into that, even though this mirrorless camera is more made for video. It has like 120 frames per second, you know, like really smooth slow-mo and that kind of stuff. I just stuck with it because I have thousands of dollars in lenses at this point, and they're like the L series lenses, which are the professional. So I've just stuck with them because it's already a sunk cost, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm shooting with the M50. It's a little bit older of one. It's not like the second gen or any of that. It was one of their first mirrorless ones that came out. And it's a budget one. It's not a high-end mirrorless. There are a few things that are left lacking. And then I typically shoot mostly with the 16 by 35 millimeter. And it does a great job. I love how wide open you can get that. I had to put a I don't even remember what it's called, but it's basically like a booster in between. It's a mount difference on the mirrorless ones, but it also kind of boosts your your aperture, I guess is what it is, so that you can truly utilize, like this is a 2.8 lens, which you can really shoot nicely and without a ton of light, so it's not grainy. I have some telephoto lenses that I use occasionally here and there. And then honestly, I shoot with my iPhone 14 Pro a decent amount recently. Almost all of the Dirt to Done videos on the other channel are shot with that because it's quick. My wife is often kind of managing the camera, and she feels comfortable with that, with the stabilization and kind of autofocus and that kind of stuff. And then we found a microphone that has 2 mics with one receiver, and it works well with that. So it's kind of just been the kit setup. And then you asked about software. I have been a Mac person for a long time, and so I have stuck with Final Cut Pro. I've used it for basically since the beginning. I think I dabble with a couple other things, and I've just stuck with Final Cut Pro. I like it a lot.
All right.
Cool. I'm a fan of Canon too. I got an M50. I love it though.
Yeah. The things I don't like about it are you can't record sound when you're doing slow-mo. Not that that's always an issue, because I'm usually not really wanting the sound. But the other thing is it won't autofocus in the slow-mo, in the high frame rate. You have to manually focus it.
I haven't. I'm just now starting to learn it. I recently this year changed to it, so I'm still trying to get used to it. But it's a real upgrade from where I was at. But you know, it's nice though. It's a very nice camera.
Well, and it's super fast. Like it starts up when you click it. It starts up in like a second and a half. And if you just need to grab it and like start recording something, you could be doing it within 2 seconds.
Yep.
And really that's sometimes that's helpful.
Yeah. Kind of staying on the social media deal here. I'd like to know, how do you, being a podcaster yourself and trying to work Instagram and YouTube, Facebook, etc. How do you balance that with your home life and trying to produce content and stay relevant? How do you get all these different videos out and stuff? Is it tough on you, or do you have a set schedule on how you do all this?
I wish I had a schedule. No, it's really tough on me. People ask about work-life balance, and I don't feel like I do a good job with it. I go real hard on one, and then I'll slack on one and go real hard on the other. And, my family is really important to me. So obviously they do take a priority, and I'll look up and it's been 12 days or something since I put out a video. I'm like, dang, whatever happened to that? I wanted to put one out, within a week or something. And I can't seem to get that done. So that may be what's harming me, versus a few other people. Of course, like I mentioned, my buddy Drew Fisher, he only puts out about a video a month and still has done quite well with that release schedule. So I don't know. I don't balance it well. I don't feel like I've cut way back on the posting to a lot of the social media channels because they just started acting squirrely about a year plus ago. Stopped getting much reach. Like, for whatever, I was posting daily and sometimes twice a day to Instagram for a long time. And about a year plus ago, I basically just went stagnant. Like, I don't necessarily drop that much, but I have like 19,600 followers, and it just stays there no matter what I post, Yeah,
it seemed like they did an upgrade, I guess, kind of last year. They did something, and it just completely you saw it on Reels and everything, just completely went from getting a few thousand or more to just nothing. I mean, I struggle to get, 1,000 views on one, and it's, of course there's so much into it. You don't even know what the algorithm's wanting or whatever, it's a tough thing, and I think it affects you because when you put something out and you put a lot of work into it, and that, man, to you it's a good video or a good reel, and to put it out there and it just dies, it's like,
or you'll do it every day, and you didn't gain any, and then you don't do anything for a week and you get 10 more followers. You're like, so what am I doing? What am I doing?
It's kind of unmotivating, isn't it? For creative people, when you're putting stuff out there and like you said, you feel like it's good, but you're just not seeing results. It just kind of makes you not want to post as much. So, and the other thing with like Instagram, it's frustrating because, once it dies, it's dead. Like, there's no searchability there. I mean, it's just gone. People can't just happen across it. No one's going back in your feed a month, let alone years. Whereas
Yeah.
at least on YouTube or some of these, search could, if you search for how to or whatever, you do have a chance of showing up in that search.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's recently, it's funny because some of my older videos on YouTube now are starting to spike up because, you could go into your back office and you can check all that stuff. And it's crazy because some videos were just completely dead. Nothing happened. Now it's like it's going through a trend. You can kind of see what people are searching for because Jake and I will compare notes and it's like, yeah, this video, and it's the same type of video like what I have, and you see the up spike in the views. So it's crazy how that happens. It's insane. I don't know. It's hard to figure. You're never going to figure it out, I don't think.
I'll piggyback off that a little bit too on my next question. It's going to be, it's not really a question. I observed that you have almost the same amount of subscribers as you do followers on Instagram. So did one kick off first and the other one catch up to it, or did they grow at the same time, or how did that happen?
The Instagram has not changed in a year and a half. So that one reached that point faster. I have always grown on YouTube. I've always grown in subscribers. It's just at a slow pace. And I think a lot of us we would almost always say that it's not at the pace we want. You know what I mean? Even if it was growing faster than it is now, we'd be like, I wish it was more. Yeah. But it has always grown. Right. For a long time for me, it's been at about 100 subscribers a month. And subscribers really don't even mean anything on YouTube anymore because they don't even show your videos to your subscribers.
Yeah.
So it's really such a vanity metric, to even talk about. Views are more where it's at because that's how you're paid anyway. But your reach is dependent on your views too. Like, again, your subscribers mean nothing. And you can go look at one of your videos and be like, oh, 5% of those who subscribe to me actually saw this video,
Yeah. It's funny you say that because, we've often been wondering, and I bet you Jake was probably going to ask you this, but I'm going to jump to it.
Go ahead.
Is when we put a video out, the first thing we start going and doing, like the next day, we start seeing, we go to the analytics and see what video is actually pushing your video. What are you coming after? And it always seems that we could put out some sort of woodworking video or whatever, but these videos are being pushed by videos that have like gardening or
crop circles, aliens, zombies.
It's like no wonder these videos die because the likelihood of somebody wanting to watch that sort of video is 0 to none. I'm actually getting coaching from vidIQ and stuff like that, and I tell them, hey man, my video's getting suggested by zombie videos or video game videos for a dust collection video. Like, how does that? So now if it's getting shown. If it's getting shown to those people, they're not going to click so the click-through rate gets dropped.
Yep.
And if they do click on it, they click right off of it. So now your average view ratio gets, and so now it'll die until YouTube knows it's searchable for that kind of content.
Well, yeah, what they do is they end up, they keep showing it to, if they realize, oh, all these people are clicking off of this isn't the audience for them. And it keeps trying to put it in front of other people until they find your audience. And that's why sometimes you get a surge is they'll actually find, oh, these are the people that might want to see this.
And then it's frustrating because you're like, well, I have a 2% click-through rate because they showed it to people that are bowling.
Right. Well, and it's like, if you would just show it to, like, you put the subscribe button there, if you would just show it to the people that said, yes, I want to see this content more. Yeah. That's a pretty easy way, but it doesn't make them more money to do that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Whew. Got that off our chest, man.
Can't tell that was a nerve.
Breathe.
There was a nerve struck right there.
I'm super mad.
So, Bruce, you and your wife have been doing your remodel at your home, and you've been going through a lot of the rooms and stuff. Which room so far is your favorite that you've remodeled? Do you have a favorite?
I think the closet will be once it's done in our master closet. I do like the master bedroom because for very little money, we ended up using some MDF and kind of creating this cool geometric pattern on the wall, on one
Yeah, I like
wall,
that.
just as an accent. And even though it took 4 coats, it really turned out cool. It happens to look really good with the headboard that I built out of an old 1930s door years ago too. But yeah, we laid some new flooring in there and put paint, and then that, I mean, so for not much money, that thing really shows well. I'll probably have to say that one. Some of the bathrooms we're trying to redo, like our master bath, it's a little frustrating because we really dislike the tile. It's like the most basic tan builder grade 12 by 12 tiles. But it's got a big, nice garden tub, but it's got one of those surrounds, so it's like built up and around that, and is the background for the shower. And it's got the glass doors, which is the nice upgrade for the shower. But all of that is built around that tan tile. So if I want to get rid of that tile, I either have to paint it, which I've seen people do, and I don't see that lasting well, or totally rip all that tile out. And then you're talking about like a $10,000 bathroom, and I don't want to do that. So those are some of the constraints that we said, are there ways we can change these rooms with making a big impact? It may not be ideal, but does it look better and not break the bank? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we ended up painting this really, really dark stain that was on the cabinets. The granite looks fine in that bathroom, and it had one of those wall-to-wall mirrors. Not that there's anything really wrong with that, but it just seems like that's builder grade. That's what they do. They put no frame on it, and they just wall-to-wall mirror. And so we ripped that down. I was actually able to sell it for $80. And then we put up 2 nicer looking framed mirrors and some different lighting and this and that, and then painted that lower cabinet and added some hardware. And it really did change it a lot, but it was difficult coming to that conclusion because we hated the tile so much.
Yeah.
So, Bruce, tell me about the new house. What's it going to be? Have you all come up with the design? You got an architect that's doing it all, or you just what's going on with that? I mean, what's the square footage of it?
Yep, we're just about done with the plans. We've got a guy drawing it up for us. It is going to be beautiful. It sits out on 5 acres of rolling cow pasture in central Kentucky. We've got the top of one of the hills. That's the spot where we're already going to put it. And it's going to be just over 2,000 square feet on the main level. So it'll be like 2,080 or something like that. We're putting a basement in it, but I'm leaving it unfinished for now because I'm going to use that just as a way to save money and possibly some content of me kind of building out some of the basement. We have to build out some of it because you can either put those support poles in your basement to hold up your main level, or you can go on and frame it out structurally, just skeleton frame it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to skeleton frame it, and wanted to go ahead and draw out where we wanted things because then the walls can just be what holds up the first level. So we've got that drawn out. It's going to be really cool. My wife's funny. We custom built a house 10 years ago, and we ended up going with kind of, I think the color was called macadamia or something. So you can picture it was kind of a creamy white, off-white color. And when we were talking about building again, she was kind of like the Henry Ford of houses, but the opposite. She was like, it can be any color you want it to be, so long as it's white. She just wants a white house in the country. So I was like, okay, I guess it's going to be a white house. And I was pushing for not that because of, you have to clean them constantly. They grow mold and, moss on the north side or what, white just discolors very easily. Anyway, probably going to do a metal roof, and we're probably going to heat it with a wood stove, so wood primarily, and then gas as a backup. I was just looking at stoves this week about options of venting it out the chimney because we were originally doing away with the chimney and just going to have the stovepipe that goes up through the roof. But then I thought, you don't really want to build a house for resale, but you always have to consider it, even if it's 15 years down the road. Everybody's going to want a fireplace probably and a chimney. So I was like, we need to put the chimney back on there. And can we even vent this wood stove? Because I want like the freestanding ones that you can set stuff on top of. You can get one of, a couple of those induction fans that turn themselves and like push it out into the room. I didn't want an insert. and come to find out, you can vent it right out the chimney. So that's helpful. But yeah, we found a plan that we mostly liked. We've had him modifying it to be exactly what we want, but it's not extravagant. Like in our last house, the master bedroom was just massive. We had a king bed and a sitting area with, 2 chairs and an end table, and there was still like plenty of room for activities. Like you could just, it was too big, and same with the bathroom. Like we weren't in the master bath half the time, and all this space is eaten up with it. And why? So we're just going more modest. My oldest is 13 now, so I'll blink and I'm sure he'll be gone. And
He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back, I'm sure.
They always come back.
I'm gonna build his room in the basement, so there will be a couple rooms down there, and just a big. We're gonna do most of our storage down there, and I don't know. We're really trying to plan this one out. The few things that we really didn't like at the last house that we designed custom, we're like, okay, we're gonna try to nail it. I'm sure there will be something that we just are like, oh man, why'd we do that?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
All right. So do you have, by any chance, a favorite project to make? May it be furniture, shop projects, or maybe something in between?
I think one of the coolest ideas, and I like the way it turned out also, it was a long time ago. I made this, I don't even know what I called it at the time, but I made this black walnut box that looked like an old briefcase with brass corners and a leather handle and stuff. And you open it up and sit it in front of the microphone, and it had foam on the inside. So it was basically like a sound barrier to catch while I could record.
Oh,
And,
studio.
yeah, it was kind of like a portable studio, and I like the way that turned out. I don't use it anymore because just with the way my camera sits now, it's like too high and I can't quite see over it and that kind of thing. But I just thought that was a cool project.
Nice.
That's a good idea.
So, kind of going off of Matt's question, I was curious. And so, are we getting a standalone shop, or are we going to go into the garage again for now? What are your plans on the new property?
Yeah, that one's interesting. This house plan, it was kind of one of those, you may be able to picture this if I tell you, what I call like a barnuminium style house, kind of that newer style where they have a really giant shop. And it's usually like a combo shop where you park cars and put the side by sides and the this and that all in there. And although it's probably we're going to end up doing it stick built and not post frame, just for a few different reasons. But we did look at that pretty heavily. It kind of negates needing to do the post frame building like a barnuminium to save money when you're doing a basement, because you still have to have all those skeleton walls down below and all of that jazz. So we're doing it stick built, but it's still going to have that same look. And that big shop, I think it was, give me 2 seconds, I've got it here. I think it was 47 feet. Let's see, 26 and 16 would be 30. So that's 42 feet. And in this direction, it's 47. So you can picture that's a big, wide open area, 47 by 42.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, real
Huge.
deep. And so we're building an interior wall between kind of that last stall garage door. So we'll have a 2-car parking area inside. But I'm just, my wife Rebecca was like, "Oh, we could just put like a partial wall up here and there." I was like, "This is a woodworking shop. If you don't put a full wall up, the cars will just be covered,
Yeah.
Even with collecting dust, it just settles everywhere." So we're going to put a wall on the inside and kind of 90 degrees up and over. So I'll basically have this large L shape. So the L will be a full 42 on the backside. And I think I'll end up with 16 feet that runs 47 long. So it's probably going to be about triple what I have right now. And should be, fantastic. Should be really good. It's going to have a 12-foot door on the front. So I'm hoping the tractor that we just bought will help me load some of these machines in there. a little farther if I can.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you'll have it filled up in 6 months, you said.
Oh, probably less than that. I think what I have now is so crammed into the shop, it would already fill up that shop. I don't even have a miter station because I don't have any room for it. I sold my miter saw at the last shop and was like, I'll buy another one. I still haven't. I've just been using a circ saw and then the table saw.
Wow.
I never even heard of a banana minion.
A
No.
what?
Banana minion.
You say?
Banana minion, man.
No.
Yeah, they're just built like a pole barn, so it's the structure's all held
Painted
by-
yellow with blue bottom.
There we go. I think we have time for a real quick speed round. Bruce, you down with that?
Go for it.
Here we go. I want to know, do you ever make videos just because you want to make a video? So do you have a video idea, or you just do things that you need to do and it becomes video?
Both.
Both of them?
Yeah,
Wow,
both.
pretty quick. Here we go.
Quick to the point. Point you'll take it.
Speed round.
Be ready.
You mentioned that your wife helps with camera work and stuff, and I saw on some of the videos, especially the accent wall in the bedroom that you were talking about, she was helping with that. Does she tend to help out a lot with the projects, or does she mostly stay on the camera work?
It depends on what it is. She doesn't come in the shop and do a whole lot. She has some in the past, but for sure with some of the home renovating stuff she really likes getting in there and doing stuff. And I like asking her opinion quite often on, hey, this is what I'm thinking for the design. There's a hiccup. We need to change it. What do you think about this or this? And I want to get her input on, which direction that should take. So with the home renovation stuff, she's been pretty involved. But usually like with the building of an actual furniture piece or something like that, I'm the one out building it.
So, Bruce, do you have a favorite wood to work with, or is it just unnecessary walnut, or what's your favorite here?
Necessary.
Yeah. I do like black walnut a lot. Boy, it gets me choked up. Even just making a single cut, I can get pretty choked up. Even wearing a mask, somehow it still gets to me. So for that reason, sometimes it's a bit much. I really like working with cherry recently, but I've built a ton of stuff out of maple. So I'd say all three of those are woods that I really prefer to work with. I've done a little bit with sapele. It's okay. It works well. I do not like working with hickory, and pecan's basically the same as hickory. So I don't care for it. I love the look of it, but I don't like it.
It's just that wood.
It's a bunch of choices.
Yeah.
And I don't love working with white oak.
I
All
don't like oak either.
So scrolling through your Instagram, I saw that you had a few wood turning pictures on there.
Yeah.
What lathe is it that you've got, and do you like it?
I'm very, 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 very amateur. I have the Nova Comet 2, I believe. It's just a MIDI lathe that I made a cart for, and it sits on top of. It does an okay job. It's been a pretty good lathe. I bought the Easy Wood Tools carbide tools, thinking that, that's what I see everybody use, and they're easy to get started and this and that. I don't love the finish you get off of those, so that's been a frustration of mine. That's basically where it's ended. I don't have the passion to just be a wood turner. I do like incorporating turned items into things that I make. Like I made a cool kind of console table that a TV could come up out of the back of, and I made these tapered legs for it on the lathe. So I like doing that kind of thing. What was the question?
Do you like the lathe?
I do like
Yeah.
it. I would like to turn more bowls. I just like bowls. I like big wooden bowls and vessels to serve out of and stuff. But again, the finish I've gotten even off of sharp carbide tools, and if you're a turner, I don't remember if you are, with good sharp high-speed steel tools, you can get a better edge, a better finish, I guess I'll say, off of a bowl or something like that. I would always
we're good at sanding.
Yeah, I would always get tear out and stuff, and just either not sand enough or still just not be happy with it.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, I actually bought a set of traditional tools. It's not a super nice set, but then I got a low speed grinder and the Wolverine eye grind system or whatever, so you can just put a fresh edge on there and go. And I've never set it up. I bought it probably 3 or 4 years ago.
He like the rest of us.
Still sitting in a box. I think it just intimidates me of doing it right and setting it up right. And so I've never done it, but that was my choices. And some of the turners that I knew, they were like, get a little bit cheaper set of turning tools, but get like a nice sharpening setup.
Mm-hmm.
So
I myself like to eat out of big bowls, as you can tell.
yeah.
Like
I've been known to eat some popcorn.
My question is going to be any new tools on the horizon, especially for the new place. You got your eyes set on something you like to bring into the shop?
I want to get a miter saw again. I think I would use it, enough. I was kind of using this as an experiment. Like, do you really need a miter saw? If you're doing any kind of repetitive cross cuts, you need a miter saw. Trying to think of any other big tools. I don't know. I want to get I want to get the ones I have running and like making money for me. So I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I would love to get that Festool Capex miter saw. Everybody just talks so highly of it, but they're like $1,500.
Settle down,
nice.
Jen.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Well, Bruce, thank you for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on here. And I've got all of Bruce's links down below. But here's the time that we use. If you got anything coming up, make sure y'all go check out We Built the Thing, their podcast. It's a great podcast. And if you have anything you want to let our viewers know that's coming up for you, here's your chance.
Go check out the Maker Collab University. See if that's something you want to hop onto and join. I think you might find it valuable. And then just go check out my channels. I've got that closet renovation. I'm already 4 episodes into that. I'm kind of breaking it up and doing a series. Got a few more episodes coming to that. And then if you feel like it and want to check out a different style, I'm trying to do a different style on our other channel. It's called Dirt to Done. And it's basically right now about the thoughts and planning of the home site. And then later it'll be more about the actual process of building.
Nice.
Nice.
Go ahead, Jake.
Here we
Bring you
go.
up.
Jen.
Hello, everybody. This weekend I have a big holiday craft fair, so getting ready for that. And on my Instagram, I'm getting pretty close to 1,000, so I'm starting to think about maybe doing a giveaway over there. So, as Jamie likes to say, tell your friends, tell your family, maybe even tell your enemies if you like.
That sounded so sweet. Tell your enemies. There you go. Matt.
I just got done doing that glue up with the tabletop 2x4s and got that flattened out and going to put that in place. And then I got Sapele and maple cutting board. I'm going to do an inlay. Learned how to do that on the CNC. So I'm going to
Nice.
get my hands on it and go forward with that. So that's what I'm on.
Jamie.
We've got Saturday morning cartoons at the weekend, and I'm going to probably get to putting a roof over my new swimming pool.
That's nice.
You're such way with words. We got Saturday morning cartoons. We're going to try to make, and then Patreon after that, and then the next day's Jamie's Patreon. Between those 2 hours, we're going to try to make about 80 pen blanks for the Blank Club. So come and check us out and have some fun and get in the chat and all that kind of stuff. Joey.
Well, all I have here is this 3D printer rack that I'm trying to finish out so I can get everything back in order here, then move on to the auto raising L desk that I'm going to build as well. And then next week we have AJ Crafted and NJ on the podcast. So if y'all are free, come hang out with us, ask him some questions. Very talented individual. Bruce, again, thank you. Don't forget to please go and leave us a review on the podcast. If you're out there, please make sure I only accept 10 stars. I do not want anything else. But
we're not accepting it.
Yeah. Other than that, we are going to call it. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yep, it was great. Appreciate it, sir. Great. Next week, same time, same place, same beautiful faces. And we're going to pause. Oh, we don't have to pause anymore.
We don't have to pause no more.
So here we go.